This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place to tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Ladies and gentlemen, it's looking like a must-win game for the Knicks tonight. As the season continues to wind down, the playoffs get closer. The Knicks are holding on to that 5th spot. But man, Brooklyn, the Brooklyn is dropping, but Miami, they're climbing after they beat the Knicks last night. Andy, what's going on with you, my man? And what's your thoughts of the game from last night?
What up, Sam? What up, Josh? What up to the chat? Happy to be on. I barely finished to watch the game. Didn't even start to watch the post game show, so I didn't know what you guys were talking about. But yeah, it was a hard loss for me because I felt like the Knicks were competing this game. We just couldn't pull this one out, and I couldn't actually pinpoint one certain thing that if you fix it, we can feel safe when we're going to play the Heat the next time. But listen, the Heat are a vet team with a vet coach. They know all the tricks that, to do versus not only the Knicks, but versus other teams to pull out the W when they needed to. And they're more under the wall than the Knicks are, right? Because they have to catch up with the Nets and fight for that last spot or even try to catch the Knicks. So it's every game for them. The Knicks, they have a little bit of a breathing room, but not that much lately.
Yeah, a little bit of breathing room. That breathing room is now down to 2 games, right? They were 3 games above the Miami Heat. Now, tonight, if they can win tonight, Brooklyn, I think they play. Who do they play tonight? Cleveland, I think.
Thanks, Cleveland. Yep.
Yeah, if let's say if Brooklyn loses and the Knicks win, then they'll have a 3-game lead over the Brooklyn Nets, 2.5 game lead over the Miami Heat, and then the Knicks will return home. They'll play They'll return home and play Houston, and then they'll play the Miami Heat again. With another chance, and that game will be even more important. Now that they lost this one, that game will be even more important in a couple of days. So they've got to take care of business tonight. You know what I mean? They got to take care of business. Josh, what's your thoughts, man?
Salute. Good afternoon, Andy, Sim, NBK fam in the chat. Yes, Sam, I agree. I think this is a must-win. Going into this 3-game stretch, Minnesota, Miami, and Orlando, I thought the Knicks were going to be 3-0. And now tonight, we can go down 0-3 in that 3 games, right? So I definitely think it's important. I think it's important for playoff positioning. And I think the Knicks just really got to get back on track. Every time they go through these little losing streaks, 2 games, 3 games, they kind of fall off the rails a little bit. So hopefully they can get back on track tonight.
Yeah, they got to get back to defense, man. The last couple of games, the last 2 games, they've let teams shoot over 50% from the 3-point line. Shooting a high percentage from the field, scoring 140 points, 127 points. It's going to be hard to win if you allow teams to shoot at such an efficient level. It's going to be hard to win basketball games. I don't care who you are. It's going to be hard to win basketball games. So they really got to figure out how to knuckle down defensively. And I'm going to tell you, I don't like the matchup versus Orlando. When you look at the type of players that they have, it's a tough matchup for the Knicks. I feel like it's a tough matchup. I think the Knicks should win, but it's a tough matchup versus the Orlando Magic. Plus, Jalen Brunson is questionable. He may be out. Mitchell Robinson is questionable after last night's game, so he may be out. I would say it's more likely that Jalen Brunson is out than Mitchell Robinson. You know, Brunson is out to right hand soreness or right wrist soreness or something like that, or not out but questionable. Mitchell Robinson is a knee contusion, but when you look at Brunson, he just came off of having an ankle sprain. It could be more of a, hey, we don't want him to play back to backs. You know what I mean? Let's, at least right now, let's save that ankle some. I don't know, but with two starters out playing the Orlando Magic, it could be even a tougher game for the Knicks if those two guys actually sit out tonight. You know what I mean? Josh, do you think Brunson will be out? Brunson and Mitch, do you think they'll be out tonight?
Because it's a back-to-back, I think I'm leaning towards the side to say that they will be out because it is a back-to-back on the road. However, I'm not as concerned about that for a couple reasons. One, Orlando Magic is not that good of a team, right? Not sleeping on them, but they're not that good of a team. And secondly, I think the Knicks have capable backups, not necessarily come in and give the same production, because I don't think the Knicks have anyone at the point guard position that can give the same production as Jalen Brunson and the same level of consistency or reliability out there. I don't think they have anybody like that, but they do have Deuce McGuire, who can definitely help on the defensive end. And in Mitchell Robinson's case, we'll see some minutes from Jericho Sims. Right. And I think Jericho Sims is another good piece that we have in our back pocket to use in these very situations. So I think the chances are that if it's serious enough that they will be out for today because it's a back-to-back. But I am confident that the Knicks can be able to have the replacements in there just to hold the fort down until they come back.
Yeah, I mean, I think they can, but, I'm not sleeping on this Orlando team versus the Knicks. They have some talent on that squad. You know what I mean? And, if they get a hot night, they put some things together, I think they can make it really tough on the Knicks. The last game was tough. Andy, your thoughts on the possibilities of Brunson being out? I'm kind of leaning towards Brunson maybe not playing just so that he can rest that ankle. I know they said wrist, but so that he can rest that ankle. Mitchell Robinson, I don't know how bad that knee contusion is. I guess we'll see. Your thoughts, Andy? Those two guys?
I kind of agree with both of you guys. Losing Brunson should help the defense a little bit. But then again, losing Mitch, we know that the Knicks play way better on the defensive end with Mitch. Even if the numbers don't say so, perfectly, I think still the Knicks feel more comfortable with Mitch than with any other center that we have currently on the roster. But like Josh said, Sims is still a defensive presence. McBride is a way better defender than Jalen Brunson. So the defense should be better. Question is if, the offense is going to work like a well-oiled machine without Brunson. We know that Julius, has his problems with Banchero. He's a great player. And you never know what Julius will show up, right? With Julius is going to show up without Brunson, because we saw him have great games, but without Brunson, I'm a little bit hesitant with that there is a possibility that Julius might not play his best game and best basketball. Let's say that way. Then again, I'm expecting Quickly to start if Jalen is out, because we saw him replacing Jalen in the absence of Jalen. And this is tough for me to say. I know you guys probably don't think so, but I kind of blame these last two games on Quickly.
Quickly?
Yeah, the game versus the Wolves. His decision making in the fourth quarter was terrible. Not to mention he fouled Conley twice on 3-point plays, which was kind of plays that took the wind out of the Knicks. And last game, he's not playing up to what Tibbs is expecting him to play, scoring wise and shooting wise and stuff like that on the offensive end. On the defensive end, I'm cool with Quickly nowadays. But on the offensive end, if he's not making shots, he's not the perfect fit for, I think, for Tibbs' offense. That's why, I'm kind of shaky on Quickly. And for the Knicks to win without Brunson and Quickly starting, I feel like, Emmanuel has to have a good game.
Well, I think without Brunson, he definitely needs to, play well. But I think in the last couple of games, other guys did step up, even when Quickly, wasn't shooting well. Like last night, Grimes stepped up. What, he had 22 points last night?
Yeah.
Some other guys did step up. I mean, I blame the Knicks defense.
Right.
You know what I mean? More than anything else, I just blame their defense. Their defense really hasn't been good the last two games. It's weird. It hasn't been terrible because a lot of shots were contested. You know what I mean? But I just don't feel like they were aggressive. The Minnesota game started off up and down, up and down, up and down. Against Miami, maybe they just weren't in their face enough before the ball even got into the shooting motion. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of the shots that Miami hit were contested. You know what I mean? They still knocked them down. And at some point you got to get a little bit more physical, I guess, to, stop the ball from going where it's going, stop guys from getting to their spots, et cetera, et cetera. Hopefully the Knicks can do that tonight. It's going to be a tough one. Geraldine said, I thought JB had a foot injury. Well, I mean, we all thought that, but apparently last night he sprained his right hand. On the official injury report that came out at 4:30, Jalen Brunson is questionable with a sprained right hand.
Let's note that he's left-handed. At least that.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And it could also be, his ankle, but they don't want to put it out there that it's his ankle and alert people. You know what I mean? And, it finds a way to get him some extra rest. For Mitchell Robinson, it is his right knee, contused right knee. And I'm assuming that's when whoever it was set a screen. Robinson tried to get over the screen. They called no offensive foul on Robinson, but I think they bumped knees or something like that on that play because Robinson went down and he was holding his knee. He was able to finish the game, I believe. I don't think he went out the game due to injury. If he went out, it was because of foul trouble, because he was able to finish. So, he might still play. I think Robinson would still play. But if they don't play, then it changes the starting lineups, of course. Right? Now, I have Mitchell Robinson still on the board, but if they don't play, I'm assuming, I don't know which way Tibbs is going to go with the center spot. If Robinson does not play tonight, he's questionable. Do you think he goes with Hartenstein or does he go with Jericho Sims?
I don't think there's any question about it. He goes with Jericho Sims because I think he likes Hart with that second unit. And secondly, previously, when Mitch has been out this entire season, Jericho Sims was the starter. So that's something that Jericho Sims is used to, playing with that starting unit a bit. I think him and Mitch are the same prototype as far as the way they play, right? They're not going to, and Hartenstein too, but I think Hartenstein is a little bit more involved in the offense from the passing perspective. I think Jericho Sims and Mitch have the same kind of offensive game, right? Sims is not going to replicate what Mitch gives you defensively. He's not going to be all over the offensive glass like Mitch. However, their type of games just tells me that Tibbs is going to go with Sims to start rather than Hartenstein.
Yeah, that was the same reason, the last time that he went with Sims, that was the same reason. And I kind of thought that he would go with Sims because of that, right? When Mitch went out and we knew it was going to be an extended period. But this one's not going to be an extended period, and Hartenstein's been playing well. That's the reason why I asked the question. I guess we'll see tonight if Mitchell Robinson doesn't play, which way Tibbs decides to go. What do you think?
It also,
go ahead.
Real quick, I'm sorry. It also helps to point out that even when Sims did start those games, Hartenstein was still getting majority of the minutes, right? So Sims wasn't out there on the floor for more than Hartenstein, right? So Hartenstein still seen some time with the starters. And I think he doubled up Sims on the minutes or something like that. So I think that's how it'll be, even if Hartenstein doesn't start.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just things change. Hartenstein's been playing. I mean, even from then, he wasn't playing that well. At that point, he's playing a lot better now. He's even seeing minutes down the stretch with the starters. I don't know which way he decides. What do you think, Andy?
I'm like 60-40 for Sims starting and Hartenstein playing probably more minutes than Sims, but still, in the first half with the regular rotation that Tibbs had when Robinson was playing. So probably the second half is going to have more rotation changes, but Hartenstein should be ending the game if Mitch is out.
Yeah.
That won't change.
You said what? Say that again.
I said that part won't change no matter who starts. I think Hartenstein's going to be out there to close the game.
Oh yeah, definitely. He'll definitely be out there to close the game. I think. I just don't think that he's going to trust Jericho Sims, having not played, unless he's just playing really, really great basketball. I don't think he's going to trust him having not played for so long. It's been a while since he's seen the court, right? It's been a good while since he's seen the court. Now, looking at the projected starting lineups, if Jalen Brunson and Mitchell Robinson are both out, you would have Emmanuel Quickley, Quentin Grimes, R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, and either Sims or Ihart. And then you got, for the Orlando Magic, Markelle Fultz, Gary Harris, Franz Wagner, Paolo Banchero, and then Wendell Carter Jr. Your thoughts, Andy, on these matchups?
Well, some matchup wise, other on the defense or offense, I think the matchups are going to be quite similar. There's not going to be any switches and changes. Listen, Markelle Fultz is playing some good basketball, so we need to watch out for him. That's for sure. And most of the time, Knicks, the team has problem with Franz Wagner and Banchero, right? Me personally, I don't like to play versus centers like Carter Jr. He's a high IQ guy. He can pass the ball. They can run the offense through him. And with, Mitch or Sims on the court, I think he can, be a serious threat to the Knicks defense. And those are the most things that I'm worried about. You got to look at Gary Harris, who can get hot and can score from the perimeter for you, versus you. So, listen, they look like lower tier team versus the Knicks, but we saw the Knicks catch a couple of L's this season versus teams like the Magic.
Yeah. On record, of course, they got 30 wins on the season. I think they're 30-42 on the season, which actually isn't terrible for this team. They're 30-42 on the season. I just feel like they match up well with the Knicks. Markelle Fultz went crazy the last time the Knicks played him. You know what I mean? He looked like that franchise-changing guard that people thought that he would be coming into the NBA. You know what I mean? He's kind of found his groove as a point guard in the league now. Is been able to stay relatively healthy for a little while, so he's been able to get out there on the floor. He's taking over that starting spot in Orlando. You know what I mean? And these guys, Franz Wagner is young, Banchero is young, Wendell Carter Jr. is young. They have a nice rising future in the matchups. Banchero, I think he gives Julius Randle trouble. When with Randle defending him. Wagner, I think he'll give R.J. Barrett trouble. You know what I mean? Because he can shoot it from the three-point line, of course, and he can do some things off the dribble. I think he's the guy that gave R.J. trouble. He's averaging 18 a game. Banchero's averaging 20 points per game. Gary Harris is averaging like 8, but you've seen times when he can get hot and light it up. Markelle Fultz, I think, is giving you 14 a game. This is a team that they have 5 players on the floor. that can score. You know what I mean? And they're pretty heady, and they hustle and they don't stop playing. They can be dangerous. Go ahead, Josh. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. This is a young, athletic bunch. But if the Knicks are for real, like a lot of people think that we are, then we got to go out and take care of business. They have that record for a reason, right? And I'm not sleeping on them. I'm not saying that they're not capable of doing all those things you just mentioned, Sam. Was it Franz? Which one is the better brother? Is it Franz Wagner?
Franz Wagner.
Franz Wagner.
Better,
he's a threat out there on the floor, no doubt about it. I'm more afraid of Cole Anthony than anything, him coming off the bench, than anything as far as their guards are concerned. But I'm really concerned about Franz Wagner and RJ Barrett being able to guard him. Outside of that, the Knicks are the more talented team, and this is with or without Brunson out there, right? I think the Knicks are the more talented team, and I think this is a game that we should win tonight. I'm not sleeping on them. I'm not sleeping on Orlando, but I think the Knicks need to go out and take care of business tonight, point blank.
Yeah. I mean, every year, every team has somebody that just kind of has that they struggle with. You know what I mean? And the Knicks have struggled with Orlando for the past couple of years. Now, they've won both matchups so far this season, and I do expect the Knicks to win. They should win this game. Last time they played, the Knicks beat them 102-98 in a close game. The first game that they played them, it was 115-102. You know what I mean? And I actually expect this to be a much tighter game than a lot of people may feel it's going to be, against Orlando. I just don't feel like the matchups are good for the Knicks. I feel like they're bad matchups and the skill sets of this particular basketball team. I'm expecting Grimes to guard Markelle Fultz, quickly to guard Gary Harris. Those two will probably switch on and off between Fultz and Harris. RJ Barrett will guard Franz Wagner, Julius Randle on Banchero, and Sims or Ihart against Wendell Carter Jr. I will say this, not to put down Jalen Brunson, because any team that's playing against the Knicks, they also got to guard Jalen Brunson. But defensively, it makes, when Jalen Brunson is out, at least in this matchup, it's better to match up. It's easier to match up defensively against this team, right? Because of Jalen Brunson's shortcomings defensively. You know what I mean? You can switch, Grimes is 6'5", Markelle Fultz is 6'4", Quickly is 6'4", Gary Harris is 6'4". You know what I mean? So you can switch seamlessly between those two guys, and then everybody else is going to match up naturally. And I'm looking, it's probably going to go back the same way the other way. Traditional matchups there. Any thoughts, Andy, on the defensive matchups? I mean, I don't see where or how you can change anything, but you never know.
Yeah, we could see, like you said, switching between the 1 and 2 guards versus the Magic guards. But also, I could envision maybe Grimes getting a couple of positions on Franz Wagner. Not only because of he's better defensively than RJ probably.
Okay.
I'm more worried about the height of Wagner, because
Right.
he's going to be way taller than Grimes, and he plays bigger, right? He attacks the board. He can get that offensive rebound, put back, and the extra possession. So I would be more afraid of that. Then again, RJ this year a little bit disappointing on the defensive end, so we might see him having trouble with Wagner.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely a concern. You know what I mean? And then, of course, you got his brother Mo Wagner on the bench.
Oh, ooh,
yeah.
That's a player that triggers me, Sam. He's one of those guys like a Dylan Brooks, like a Draymond Green, that doesn't score, but when he makes a bucket, he acts like it's he made a buzzer beater for the finals or whatever, and you're like boiling inside because he never makes that shot. Just he made it now, and he's acting like it's his bread and butter.
Right.
So those kind of players trigger me.
Yeah. Nah, I feel you. But their bench, he's a guy that can shoot the basketball. He had 13 points
on a lucky day, Sam.
Okay. I mean, at one point he was starting for the Wizards, and they thought maybe this guy was going to be part of their future. But then, the Wizards don't get too much right. He had 13 points, though, last time the Knicks played him. He was 4 for 11 from the field, 2 for 5 from the three-point line. Now, Jalen Suggs is out. Jonathan Isaac, he's out as well.
Man.
All right, so, you got Cole Anthony coming off the bench. He had 9 points last time the Knicks faced him. So their bench is not as strong as it has been facing the Knicks. Cole Anthony, I agree, is one of those big threats off the bench. He's a guy that can definitely light it up on any given night. I still feel the Knicks have the better bench, even with Emmanuel quickly moving to the starting lineup. I feel we have the better bench. I guess Ihart or Deuce would guard Cole Anthony, either one. Cole Anthony 6'4", Ihart, Deuce, either one of those guys can guard him. You got Harris, Mo Wagner. You got
Ihart or Deuce.
Josh
Hart.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. Then you got Sims and Ihart at the center spot. I still give it to the Knicks. As far as the bench is concerned, although against the Knicks, but these aren't the same players. Orlando's bench, they've averaged 27.5 points per game against the Knicks bench, 15 rebounds. Not shot well, 39% from the field, 24% from the three-point line. The Knicks, 25 points per game from the bench, 37% from the field, 26% from the three-point line. And if we see Ihart guarding Cole Anthony, we got a problem. You can guarantee that, If they switch that up and they get that kind of a switch, then Ihart will probably be toast.
Sam, but this trade, this is the first time I'm playing the Magic since the Terrence Ross trade, right? So Terrence Ross was a big part of what Orlando did before.
But he wasn't playing. Like the last time the Knicks played Orlando, he didn't play.
Okay.
Yeah, he got a DNP. Okay. Yep. Now maybe the first game he might have played. He might have played in the first game.
Yeah.
Against the Knicks, but he didn't play in the second game. Yeah.
Fair enough.
How's he doing over there in Phoenix?
I haven't even paid attention to Phoenix. I haven't really watched them like that since they made that trade.
Yeah. He played 32 minutes in the first game. Had 8 points. Of course, they had Mo Bamba playing in the first game as well. Caleb Houston in the first game played. Bol had 19 points in the first game, but the Knicks, for the most part, I don't want to say dominated the game. Their biggest lead was 14. They had they won by 13. So they have some different players. It's a different team, right? Mo Bamba's no longer there. All right. Whatever it is, the Knicks got to get this win. They got.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about it, Sam. I don't think there's any question about it. You got to be able to beat these type of teams if the Knicks are going to be taken seriously, right? I think for most of the part, when the Knicks are winning games, everyone's so confident that the Knicks be able to compete, and are the Knicks contenders? I know that question was put out there before, but these are the games you can't afford to lose. And I get it. Any given night, anything can happen. But now we're not talking about any given night. We're talking about a trend that we've seen recently where the Knicks have not been able to defend, right? And we all know the Knicks are capable of defending better than the way they've shown the past two games, right? You're talking about a Miami team who was one of the worst teams offensively in the league, and we gave up 127 points. Minnesota is a team without their top two guns, Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns, and we gave up 140 to them, right? Albeit, Torian Prince had the game of his life, right? But, this is not just any old game. This is a game which, it's clear the Knicks have to step it up defensively, right? So if we want to be taken seriously, these are the games we got to win.
Yeah. No, you got to win this game. If you win this game tonight, no matter what happens with Brooklyn, you're either going to remain 2 games above them or possibly move to 3 games above them if you win the basketball game. Let me see. Miami, I don't think they're playing tonight. Is Miami playing tonight? No, Miami's not on the schedule tonight. So, You win this game, you are 2.5 games ahead of Miami, right? With how many games? 6 games left? 7 games
Yep.
left or something like that?
Probably.
Right? So this is a big win for the Knicks. This game and the Houston game are both big wins that they need to get. Right? Because if you get this win, you get the Houston win, you could put yourself, depending on what happens with Miami, you could put yourself 3.5 games above Miami possibly if you get that, if you win tonight and then win against Houston.
Or worst case scenario, maintain where you already are.
Right? So these are important wins against playing teams that are, so far below 500. These are important wins. Okay, on Saturday, Brooklyn and Miami play against each other. Right? So if you take care of business tonight, on Saturday, you're going to gain ground on somebody in some way because they play each other. Right? So that's how important this win is. The Miami Heat, 40-34. The Brooklyn Nets, 39-33. Right? If the Nets lose tonight, the Knicks win. The Knicks will be 3 games above them. And then if Brooklyn loses to Miami on Saturday, the Knicks will be 3.5 games above them. And they would have maintained their 2-game lead over Miami. Right? And then on Sunday, neither one of those teams play on. Brooklyn plays on Sunday against Orlando. Right? And then on Monday, the Knicks will take on the Houston Rockets. So the Knicks will have a chance if they just take care of business. Right? They're gonna gain ground on somebody if they take care of business tonight.
If the Knicks win 3 out of the next 7 games, and that means that Brooklyn, they're going to be safe. That means Brooklyn or Miami would have to go. How many games are they ahead of Miami?
They are 2 games ahead of Miami right now.
Right. So if the Knicks get to 3 games above either Miami or Brooklyn, if they go 500 the rest of the way, that means Brooklyn and Miami would have to win every single game remaining in order for them to overtake the Knicks. Right. So I agree with you, Sim. I think these are important. We got to get this locked up as soon as possible. Mm-hmm. Get that 5th seed locked up as soon as possible. Yeah. So when it comes down to playoff time, we can start resting these guys. And I don't know if Julius Randle's going to rest or not. I think he wants to play every single game this season. I don't know if it's probably a personal milestone or something like that. But I want these guys to rest for the playoffs, especially Jalen Brunson from his foot injury or whatever that is. Right. So the Knicks have to take care of business. I think you're absolutely correct.
Yeah. And if they lock up the 5th or if they lock up the 5th seed, then they don't have to worry about a play-in. You get a week off.
Right.
Before the playoffs start. You know what I'm saying? I mean, how much, that's great because the Knicks need that kind of rest. Julius Randle needs some rest. Brunson needs to let his ankle and I guess now his wrist, his hand heal up. Mitchell Robinson needs to let his body heal up a little bit. Then you come into the playoffs kind of fresh. Obviously Cleveland or whoever we play would be fresh as well. But still, for your team, you're coming in fresh, feeling good and hopefully energized about the playoffs. So, yeah, they got to take care of business and get it locked up sooner than later. You know what I mean? You don't want to have to play these tight battles going down the stretch if you don't have to. If they lock up that seed sooner than later, now they can take the luxury. They can have the luxury of saying, well, we're cool, we'll rest guys, especially if they know, that they're going to be locked into that 5th spot. So, a Brooklyn Nets guy, big fan Breezy with the Brooklyn Nets vlog. Said you're not locking up the 5th seed. So I'm assuming you think Brooklyn is locking up the 5th seed? We'll see.
No, don't know about that.
We'll see. Let's see what they do against Cleveland tonight. The Brooklyn Nets have lost 4 in a row. They're struggling a little bit. They were once 10 games above 500. They're now just 6 games above 500.
Didn't they just play Cleveland? Didn't Donovan Mitchell dunk on Yuta Watanabe's head?
Yeah. So, I mean, listen, the Nets are going to be at least in the play-in, right? Because of the, they kind of had a head start, after the trade of Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, they kind of had a head start. They're at least going to be in the play-in. They should be. You know what I mean? With, what do they got? 10 games left to play? You know, the Nets can go, I think it's possible that they can go 5-5 or maybe even 4-6. You know, even if they go.
We've played more games than the Nets already?
The Knicks are 42-32. So that's, what is that?
72.
70, that's 74 games. The Nets have played 72 games.
Okay, so.
Yep. So even if the Nets go 3-7 down the stretch, they'll be above 500 on the season, even if they go 3-7. Right? So chances are they're going to be in the play-in. Can they get out of the play-in? You know, we'll see. You know what I mean? So much for taking over the city, but that's a whole nother thing in and of itself. I mean, it's a whole nother thing in and of itself. The Knicks versus the Magic this season average 108.5 points per game, 46.5 rebounds, 22.5 assists. They shoot 46% from the field and 32.5% from the three-point line. The Magic versus the Knicks average 100 points per game, 41 rebounds, 18.5 assists. They shot 44.2% from the field and 21.7% from the three-point line versus the Knicks. The Knicks have won both games so far against the Magic. Got to do it tonight, man. Got to get it done tonight.
I expect the Knicks to win tonight's game by 20. I think the team realizes from the leadership that we've heard from Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle, whether Brunson plays or not, I expect this team to understand their shortcomings defensively from the past couple games. I expect them to lock in defensively, and I expect them to continue to shoot well, right? So I expect them to come out and take care of business by 20 points tonight. And it's off of back-to-back, so they got all the adversity against them. This Knicks team is resilient. That's one thing I would definitely give this team. They're so resilient. They have I think they can feel a sense of urgency, not on the season, but typically when they get like with their back against the wall and they're not expected to win, they typically come out with a little bit more fire and a little bit more fervor. So I expect them to win by 20, playing good defense, good stout defense, and I think they'll continue to shoot lights out.
I hope so. Andy, what do you think? You think 20-point victory? You're predicting a 20-point victory tonight?
No, we're going to get the W, but I don't envision 20 points. The Knicks getting that kind of a lead even throughout the game. I'm not going to lie, like I said, a couple of shows back, the Knicks play good basketball, way better basketball than last season, but we but we rarely jump to a huge point difference. And even if we do, we don't end the game that way. We always make it nervous in the fourth quarter. If it's 25, we're gonna finish like 12 or whatever, right? so the Knicks roster knows how to keep the Knicks fan base blood pressure pretty high.
They do it all the time. You know what I mean? All the time. Just when you think, all right, we're about to cruise. We're gonna take we're gonna be 13 games above 500. Blah blah blah. Blah, boom, pop up with a losing streak or something like that. It's nice for us to be so many games above 500 right now that it doesn't hurt you as much. But and the good thing is it gives you like some grace period or whatever you want to call it, or room to make those corrections without as much, without as many consequences. You know what I mean? Like if this was tight and they were, in a dog fight as far as record is concerned with Brooklyn and Miami, those two losses could have sent them to the 7th seed or something like that. But now, you have a little bit of space in between, and those guys are looking up at you trying to reach where you are. It gives you a chance to say, okay, we better get it together before we fall down there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think with this roster, I think we are still in a better position, having that breathing room instead of chasing, right, in the standings. Because, there's some teams clearly playing better when they need to get those W's like really urgently. I don't think this Knicks team, they're way, like Josh said, they're way more resilient than previous Knicks teams.
Yeah.
But I still think that these 2-3 games of a wiggle room are quite comfortable for this Knicks roster and are going to help them getting prepared mentally for the games.
Yeah. They just got to get it done. Yeah, I don't know. I think their defense, if Jalen Brunson is out, their defense should look a little better tonight, at least a little bit. I mean, he's not so bad defensively that, it's just terrible. But, inserting Manuel quickly in the starting lineup and Deuce McBride off the bench, gives you that extra defensive punch against, guys like Markelle Fultz and Cole Anthony. You know what I mean? So that will help a little bit in hopefully getting the defense back on track. I'm kind of thinking that the first half is going to look similar to what we've seen versus Minnesota and Miami as far as scoring. Maybe it's not going to be 70s, where they give up 70 and 80 points in the first half. But then I think in the second half is when the Knicks get it back in gear defensively.
Sim, you spoke about Brunson, being he's not a bad defender.
No.
And it's not a liability. The word I'm looking for, I can't find the word right now, but we've seen the entire Miami game. They were attacking Jalen Brunson. So it was
they were targeting him.
Right.
Clearly.
It was a point of emphasis, right? So I think having Deuce McBride out there, I don't think Deuce will get targeted. Deuce is not a very tall guy either, right? But Deuce has more defensive instincts. And Deuce can be able to defend one-on-one better than Jalen Brunson can. Doesn't necessarily, not taking anything away from Jalen Brunson, but I think putting Deuce out there, like you said, just makes the defense better because his ability to get in the passing lanes, his ability to be quick with his hands, quick with his feet. And his defensive IQ is very high for such a young player. So I think that makes us better. And it's not taking anything away from Brunson, but I don't think Deuce McBride is going to be the same target out there as opposed to Jalen Brunson.
Right.
So.
Well, I think that Deuce has quicker feet, much longer arms, so I think his wingspan is longer. That definitely helps him out.
Yep.
And yeah, with Jalen Brunson, he plays hard. He plays hard. He plays defense hard.
Draws charges too.
Draws charges. You know what I mean?
Guard, yep.
So it's not like he's a liability in that aspect, but he is. That he's listed as 6'2", but I don't think he's really 6'2". I think he's a little shorter than that. So it's easier to shoot over him. And then even if he was 6'2", his arms are a little shorter. So, and when it comes to contesting, he doesn't have the same arm length as someone like a Deuce McBride.
Sim, the Deuce has like 2 extra inches on that throw compared to Jalen Brunson, bro.
Right.
You got to stick it up for the playoffs, though. I hope.
So, hopefully, I just want the Knicks to get it in gear tonight. We got to get this win, get it in gear, come home feeling good about yourself, beat Houston, and then take care of Miami after Houston. And I think you do that. It may not be locked up yet, but you're as close as you're going to come to getting it locked up without it being locked up. If you do that,
Agreed.
Yeah, there we go. So tonight, 7 p.m., ladies and gentlemen, I'll be on the post-game show probably around 10. So make sure you join me there. Then after the post-game show, me and Tony's going to jump on the front stoop and do, a little show about the last episode of Snowfall. So
just watched it.
Make sure you check it. Make sure you check us out on the front stoop. You know what I mean? That's going to be, it's going to be pretty dope. So any last words before we get out of here, Andy?
Awesome. Let's hope the Knicks get a W because I don't want to make a show, counting out the W's, the wins, and the whole running through the whole 5-game schedule left on the whole NBA with the chances of sticking to the 5-5 seed,
right. Yeah, I hope so. But it wouldn't be the Knicks if they didn't make it interesting. I'd tell you that. Josh, any last words?
Knicks win by 20. I got RJ scoring 25, and I got Grimes with another 20 bang.
Okay. All right.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
I'll take it. I do want to see Deuce if he's playing. I want to see Deuce be aggressive like he was the last time he played against Portland. I think it was last time he got some minutes. You know, that was one of the first games I've seen in the NBA where he just made up his mind that he was going to go to the basket and win, right? Or didn't hesitate about taking the shot. You know what I mean? I want to see that same Deuce out there on the floor, because if he can give you 12 points and quickly can play the way that the way that he has played. He hasn't played that well the last couple of games, but the way that he's played being a starter, if he can give you that kind of production, and Deuce can give you 12 points, you might not miss a beat, with Brunson being out, from that guard position.
Just to add on Deuce, for me, he clearly needs to get, when he's on the court, he needs to get a defensive stop, then get an easy bucket. And when he sees that ball go through the hoop, that 3-point shot is way more comfortable for him.
Yeah, no doubt.
So,
no doubt about it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, appreciate your time. I'm going to get up out of here. Again, catch us tonight on the post-game show at 10. And then on the front stoop, we'll talk about Snowfall at 11:30. Catch you there.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place to tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.